What's up, everybody? AJ Chin here with Phenomenal Properties in Kansas City. You might be considering selling your house to a cash home buyer in the area, and it's very important to do your homework to make sure that you're not only choosing one that works for you, but one that has a solid reputation and that's going to follow through on everything. So I just wanted to give you a few tips to make sure that you're working with somebody that could be trusted and that you're able to go through the process as smoothly as possible. So the first tip I have is make sure that you're working with a cash home buyer that is buying your house as is. Typically, most companies, if not all companies, are advertising to buy your house for cash in as is condition, but just make sure that it's completely as is. If any company is wanting you to make any sort of repairs or leaving the door open for any sort of liability on your behalf or any sort of cost about the condition of your house, that's definitely a red flag and you want to avoid that. So make sure that you're reading your contract and there's nothing in there that could leave yourself accountable for any sort of repairs or other costs. Secondly, work with a cash home buyer that has an extremely simple process. Selling your house is a pain, and when you're selling your house for cash, you're doing so because you want to alleviate some of the stress of selling in a retail setting. So if you work with a cash home buyer that makes things really complicated for you, then you're really not doing yourself a favor at all there. So make sure that you're working with somebody that is very straightforward, is transparent, and that's not going to drag you along in any sort of way. So make sure to go out there and search on the internet and see if there's any sort of reviews on companies that you're thinking about working with. Next, make sure there's no hidden fees or that you're not paying any sort of closing costs. Again, the benefits of you selling your house for cash is that no money comes out of your pocket. You're selling your house, you're getting the price that you're offered, and you're not paying any sort of other fees that you weren't expecting. When we buy houses here at Phenomenal Properties, we offer you a price, we pay that price, we pay closing costs, nothing else comes out of your pocket. So when you're working with a cash home buyer in the area, make sure that the same goes for you. Next, I strongly recommend that you work with a local company. Local companies know communities, they know neighborhoods, they know exactly what homes are selling for. They have the information and knowledge to be able to offer you a fair price for your house. If you work with a national company, these folks, they don't know the ins and outs of where you live, and generally their bottom line is to make as much money as possible. This is a business, we are trying to put cash in our own pocket, but more often than not, when you're working with a local investor, they understand your situation and they're likely to be a lot more accommodating and understanding and more sympathetic of you, the buyer, and want to do the right thing as opposed to trying to lowball you and buy your house for as little as possible. And last but not least, this probably should go without saying, but work with a company that's honest and transparent. A lot of this you're going to be able to find on the internet. You can look at reviews, check any sort of social media accounts for these types of companies to get any sort of sense on their credibility, but also use your gut. When you're speaking with these companies, if you feel any sort of dishonesty or you feel like you're not able to trust the company, then go with your gut. You don't want to work with somebody that you feel is going to try to squeeze every penny out of you and that's not really in it for you. One of the biggest parts of the house selling process that you'll notice this is when they present you with an offer. If they tend to be extremely pushy, salesy, and kind of in your face about things, then start to think about that and think about whether they are just trying to get a deal done or whether they care about your situation and doing the right thing. So keep these tips in mind when you're considering working with a cash home buyer in the area. If we can answer any questions for you, please make sure to reach out to us. And remember, we've only got one life. Make it phenomenal.